Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnana Yogaha. Shri Bhagawanuvacha. Anashrita karma palam karyam karma karoti yaha sasanyasti cha yogi cha nani ragnina chakriyaha.
Sorry, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Mataji.
Prabhu, I thought...
No, to Hare Krishna, Saroj Mataji, if you can read the Sanskrit and the Shamila Mataji will read the English
Yeah,
translation.
that's what I thought. I was doing Sanskrit.
Yes, please start with the, yes, please. You will be doing Sanskrit. Sorry.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Start again. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na Niragni Na Chakriyaha.
The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty.
Text 2. Yam sanyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasya sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana.
What is called renunciation? You should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
Aruruksor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga rutasya tasvaya samakaranam uchyate.
For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
Text 4. Yada hi nendriyathasu na karma sav anushajate sarva sankalpa sanyasi yoga rutas tadochyate.
A person is said to be elevated in yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities.
Text 5. Udaret atmanat amanam natmanam avashyatet atmeva hi atmano bandhur atmeva ripur atmanaha.
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
Text 6. Bandhur atmat amanastasya yenatma vatmana jitaha anatmanastu satrutve vartetamaeva satruvat.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
Text 7. Citatmana prashantasya param atma samhitaha sitosna sukha dukheshu tatha mana pamamanoya.
For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same.
Text 8. Gnana Vignana Triptatma Kutastho Vichindratriyaha Yukta iti yuchyate yogi Samaloshrama Kanchanaha.
A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same.
Text 9. Surun Mitrari Udasina Madhyastha Devesha Bandhusu Sadhusve Api Cha Papesu Samabuddhir Vishishyate.
A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, the mediators, the envious friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind.
Text 10. Yogi Yunchita Satatam Atmanam Rahasi Stitaha Ekati Yata Chittatma Nirasir Aparigraha.
A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness.
Text 11 and 12. Suchau dese pratisthapya Sthiram asanam atmanaha Nati yurchitam nati nikam Kailajna kusotaram Tatraikagram mana kritva Yata chitendriya kriyaha Upavishyasane yunjadyat Yogam atma vishudayaha.
To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, stress, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point.
Text 13 and 14. Samamam kaya shiro grivam Dharayan achalam sthiraha Sampreksha nasikagram swam Dishashchana valokayam Prashantama vikatabir Brahmachari vrate sthitaha Mana samyamya makchito Yukta ashita matparaha.
One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily on the tip of his nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life.
Text 15. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi niyate manasaha santim nirvana paramam matsamsthan agit gachati.
Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind, regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence.
Text 16. Nati ashnatastu yogasti na chaikatam anashnataha na chati swapna silasya jagroto neva karjuna.
There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough.
Text 17. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta swapna vabodasya, yogo bhavati dukkha.
He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system.
Text 18. Yada viniyatam chitam atmani eva vashishyate nishpraha sarvo kamebhyo yukta iti yuchyate tada.
When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in the transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga.
Text 19. Yatha dipo nivatasto nengate sopama smritaha yogina yata chittasya yunjato yogam atmanaha.
As a lamp in the windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self.
Text 20-23. Yatro paranamate chitam nirudam yoga sevaya yatra chevatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tusyati sukham atyantikam tadyat yat tad buddhi graham atindriyayam veti yatra na chevayam siddhas chalati tatvataha. Yam latva kaparam labam manyete nadikam tataha yashmin stito na dukena guru napi vikalyate tam vidya dukha samyoga viyogam yoga samchitanam.
In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact.
Text 24. Sa nishya chena yoktavyo yogo nirvina che chatate tasa sankalpa prabhavan kamams tvaktva sarvam ashitataha manase vendriya kraham viniyamya samantahatata.
One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not to be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you for
Hare
giving me the
Krishna.
opportunity.
Hare
And
Krishna.
yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so
Krishna.
much. So, Shamila Mataji, very nicely done English, very confidently, very clearly. We enjoyed it. And Saroj Mataji, nice, very nice Sanskrit. You started it in a nice pace, very nicely. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees, let me get to my presentation. Okay, so we are continuing chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. We'll do a review of the text we have read so far. And let's start here. So we're just in the beginning of this chapter. So 1 to 4, text 1 to 4. Krishna spoke about advancing in yoga through detached work. This was a bit of a continuation from the 5th chapter. And 5 to 9, which is the current session we're up to, and there, the Yoga Rudra stage, giving up work. So this will be expanded on later on as we go, but this is as far as we have gone. So Yoga Rudra stage means like the perfection stage. So when the yogi, at that stage, yogi can give if he needs, if he wants to, he can give up even Nishkam Karma Yoga, because he's reached a stage of very balanced mind. So we are at 8 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vijitendriya Yukta Utyate Yukta Ityutyate Yogi Samaloshrashma Kanchana. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. So we go to the, so we come back to the text and some interesting things in the text I want to discuss, but we'll just do the purport first. Let me just get the list of the, I can just see if I can find, let's see who we haven't heard from for a long time. Okay, Kusum Mataji, if you can do the first page, and then Naina Mataji can do the second page. Let's see how that works. Kusum Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated as follows. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet graham indriyaha sevano mukhehi jihvadu swayam eva spurti adaha. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Shri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasmrita Sindhu 1.2.234. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Kusum Mataji. So page 2.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Naina Mataji.
This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions, but by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is the realized soul who is actually self-controlled. because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are no greater value than pebbles or stones. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Mitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Shutasya. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Nitinamine Ekta Cheta Supraneta Vagminam Charasaputam Prabhupada Gataprana Naumi Bhakti Charu Pade. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Sunnibadi Pasha Padishitari Prabhupada ki jai. So let's go back and look at the verse for a second. A few interesting things. First of all, about the pronunciation. So Jnana, Vijnana, Tirthatma. There are lots of T's, if you notice in this verse, lots of T's here, right? But you notice there are two types of T's. There's a T, for example, in Tripta, Triptatma, and then we got two T's there, both without a dot underneath. But next slide, we got Kuta with a T, with a dot underneath. Can somebody tell me what is the difference between the two sounds?
Kutasto.
Ta and a ta.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So one is a soft one. Ta is what you call a dental sound. Dental sound, which means your tongue is touching the back of our top teeth. Ta. But when it's the hard T, which is with the dot underneath, there our tongue, it's a palatal sound, where the tongue will touch the top of the palate. So it's important to do that. So Jnana, Vijnana, Tirthatma, Kutasto, Vijitendra. Again, the T in Vijitendra is soft. But again, last line. So it's Sama, Lostrashma, not Lostrasma, but Lostrashma, Kanchana. So that's just about pronunciation. So Jnana, Vijnana, Tirthatma. So Jnana is like acquired knowledge, and then Vijnana is the realized knowledge. So this two, can somebody tell me the difference between the two? Like maybe by an example or something like that? So Jnana is like theoretical knowledge. So for example, you would read the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and you would more or less understand it. It's in English. Prabhupada explained it nicely in his purports. You would merely sort of understand it all. So that is theoretical understanding, obtained by either reading or listening to a class, something like this. But then to realize that knowledge, which means to internalize that knowledge and feel that knowledge sort of realize within your heart. Yeah. So this wisdom, it is said that that spiritual knowledge is not acquired from the outside. Like, you know, if anything we do, any studies we do in school or university, college, whatever, it's all acquired from the external sources. And it's acquired, we work on it, we use our intelligence to memorize it. So it's externally acquired. But it is said that all of us, each one of us that's in this session today and everybody around us, we all have spiritual knowledge already within us, because the soul is completely cognizant. The soul is part and parcel of the Lord. So just as the Supreme Lord is all-knowing, the soul, to that degree, not completely all-knowing, but it is also, in terms of the spiritual knowledge, the soul is quite cognizant. But it has been covered by Maya. But when the knowledge is realized within the heart, when then it becomes wisdom, and then we actually realize, and the feeling is that yes, I somehow you get the feeling, yes, I have known this, I have heard this before, kind of thing, you know. So that's realized knowledge. The other way to look at it is, Gyan is just, okay, understanding I'm not this body, because we read it in the second chapter. I'm not this body, I am the soul. That's Gyan, that's knowledge. But just to live at that stage and do nothing about it, just, yeah, I know that I'm this soul, but then if you carry on acting, everything you do is we do as normal, without changing our consciousness, then it remains that Gyan. But if you start acting with that knowledge that I am not this body, so how would that display itself? It would display itself in this way, that when sometimes, just let's see the example we can take. We can think about, okay, when somebody is insulting us, right? If we are in the knowledge, in the Gyan, that I'm not this body, then we can say, okay, fine, you know, this is it. He's insulting my body. I am, the soul has nothing to do this with this body. The soul has got nothing to do with this material life. So I am separate from my body. So this way we can separate, if we're able to separate ourselves, even in terms of pain and pains and pleasures, right? When pain comes, if we're able to actually realize the knowledge that I'm not this body, it can be easier for us to bear that pain. Yes, we will still feel the pain, because our soul has been connected to material bodies since time immemorial. So we will feel it, but it'll be easier to get over it. So this is the difference, very important difference, Gyan and Vigyan. There are a lot of Gyanis, but not many Vigyanis. So important to realize that. And one thing again to understand is the Gyan alone cannot satisfy. Here, the last word in this first line is Tiptatma. Tiptatma is completely satisfied. So that satisfaction will not come just from Gyan. Gyan may give you some mental feeling that, okay, I know, I could, Gyan, for example, I have memorized this verse today, and I have really understood it, and I can repeat it, which means I feel satisfaction that I can do this. But that's not complete satisfaction. Complete satisfaction is when we actually start to live that knowledge. Right? So that's the first thing. And then the last line is interesting. Sama, lost asma, kanchana. So sama, so lost, so sama, of course, means equipoise, same, sama. You can see there's some similarity in the word, same and sama. Loshtra refers, this is two words actually, loshtra and then loshtra and asma. So Loshtra means pebbles, Ashtra means, Ashma means stone. And then Kanchana, most of us would know, will mean gold. So a person who is that way situated, see again, now the realized knowledge for him would be that as a spirit soul, I have nothing to do with anything material, whether it is stone, pebble, or even gold. I have absolutely nothing to do with anything that is material, because I am a spirit soul and my connection is with the spirit, but not with anything material. So that is like the understanding of realized knowledge. So a long time ago, I was listening to a class by Gauranga Prabhu from Chopati. And he was saying, you know, how we think that we know this, we are spirit soul, but we're not supposed to be attracted by gold, or we're not supposed to be disturbed by stones. But he was saying, he said, if somebody threw a stone at us, we would turn back and start shouting at them, why are you throwing a stone at me? What have I done to you? But he says, if somebody throws a piece of gold at you, you would happily accept it and say, please, let me have some more. So yeah, we never see gold and stone the same way. So let's move on now to the purport. Like as usual, we'll take bits of the purport and churn the nectar Prabhupada has given us. The Prabhupada quoted this very famous verse in the purport. Ata Shri Krishna Namadina Bhavet Grahim Indriye Sevan Mukhe Hijivada Swayam Eva Surat Yata. This is in the Nectar Devotion. Is it Nectar Devotion? Yes, I think Nectar Devotion. Yes. So the line Sevan Mukhe Hijivada, that's very important. Again, Sevan Mukhe is a sandhi of two words, Seva and Unmukhe. So it says someone who's engaged in his service, Unmukhe. So Seva Unmukhe. So one who is doing Seva, how? Jivhado, again two words, Jivha, Ado. Jivha means the tongue, and Ado means beginning with. So somebody who is engaged in devotional service, beginning with the tongue, it says. So why the tongue? Because it is said the tongue, if one can control the tongue, but the tongue has two functions, vibrating sound as well as tasting. So this is why it is the most difficult sense to control. But it's said, Prabhupada says in many places, that if one can control the tongue, it becomes easier to control the rest of the senses. So Prabhupada gives, in his purport for this Bhagavatam verse 4.7.24, he gives a nice explanation of this. So I'll just read that. It is not possible for any ordinary living entity to understand or glorify the ultimate unlimited personality of Godhead. But one can offer prayers or service to the Lord according to one's particular capacity. This capacity is increased by the service spirit. Sevan Mukhe Jivhado, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-34, means that the service of the Lord begins with the tongue. This refers to chanting. By chanting Hare Krishna, one begins the service of the Lord. Another function of the tongue is to taste and accept the Lord's prasada. We have to begin our service to the unlimited with the tongue and become perfect in chanting and accepting the Lord's prasad. To accept the Lord's prasad means to control the entire set of senses. The tongue is considered to be the most uncontrollable sense because it hankers for so many unwholesome eatables, thereby forcing the living entity into the dungeon of material conditioned life. As the living entity transmigrates from one form of life to another, he has to eat so many abominable foodstuffs that finally there is no limit. The tongue should be engaged in chanting and eating Lord's prasad so that the other senses will be controlled. Chanting is the medicine and prasad is the diet. With these processes, one can begin his service. And as the service increases, the Lord reveals more and more of the devotee. So two important things here. So they say medicine and diet. So if there is some ailment with our body, as we know, if there's some problem with our body, when we go to the doctors, doctors say, okay, fine, you must cut down on this. For example, cut down on chilies because you've got ulcer now. And then, so that's diet. And then he may give you some medicine to control the symptoms. So similarly, we have prasad, we have chanting as a medicine and prasad as the diet. And what does it do? With these processes, we can begin the service, and as the service increases, the Lord reveals more and more. So as we were saying earlier, the knowledge is not acquired externally. The Lord reveals it from within the heart, according to our devotional service and our sincerity, of course, and the Lord's mercy. These three things come into effect. So Prabhupada then continues in the purport, no one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. Very important. We have many people who actually have memorized the Bhagavad Gita from page to page, from the cover to the end. But if they just keep it as scholarship, and then it's not going to work. There's going to be some devotion in it. So Prabhupada, a couple of paragraphs are picked up from some of his lectures. So here he is explaining that point. He says there are two kinds of knowledge, mundane knowledge and transcendental knowledge. Mundane knowledge means how to maintain this body, ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithunam, to meet the demands of this body. So eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, sense gratification. So to arrange for these necessities of life of the body, the knowledge that we require, that is called mundane knowledge. So he says the modern material civilization is simply based on this mundane knowledge. But there is no arrangement or university for imparting transcendental knowledge. What am I? Wherefore I have come. What is my constitutional position? Am I this body or am I beyond this body? He says these is transcendental knowledge. This is, I suppose, this is transcendental knowledge. So you see, university schools, all they teach us about is how to live in this world and enjoy sense gratification. But the human body is not meant just for that. Human body is meant to cultivate spiritual knowledge so we can make our way out of this world. But this is very important. No? Then Prabhupada continues, one must be fortunate enough to associate with the person who is in pure consciousness. So association is very important. As we all know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Madhya Lila, when he's speaking to Sanatana Goswami, he says, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Sastre Kaya, Lava Matra Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Haya. Association, even a moment's association, Lava Matra, even a moment's association with a sadhu. Sadhu is devotee. So a moment's association with a devotee can Sarva Siddhi Haya, can make our life perfect. Making human life perfect means that we will not come back to the material world, excuse me. So this is very important. And this sadhu sangha doesn't happen by chance. We all here, there is 52 of us on this session today. All of us are daily tuning into the chapter a day sessions and other sanghas that we may be attending, other classes we may be attending. We're doing all that not by any chance. We're doing this because we got association of a devotee. You met a devotee somewhere, either online or book distribution somewhere, and you got connected to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. But that association also didn't happen by chance. This was the mercy of the devotee who you met, as well as the mercy of Krishna Kripa. So without Krishna Kripa, these things are not possible. So every one of us here must be very thankful to the Lord for giving us this opportunity to associate and stay in association. Very important to remain in the association. There was a time when Radhakanda Prabhu, a long time ago, was telling us about one Mataji that he used to know many years ago. She used to come to the manor became very fixed up, even got to chanting 16 rounds daily, doing service regularly, and making very nice progress. But she used to do service in the kitchen. So one time there was some argument in the kitchen, and she fell out with one of the ladies in the kitchen, and that really upset her. So she stopped coming to the temple. Not just for service, she just didn't want to come to the temple. So when Radhakanta Prabhu knew this Mataji, so he approached her and said, "You mustn't stop doing this." And she said, "No, I don't want to come because people are so rude there." This and Radhakanta Prabhu said, "But you need association for your sadhana. How will you? No, don't worry. I'm at home. I've got my lala at home. I will, I'm chanting my rounds at home, and no problem at all." So like this, anyway. The point is, Radhakanta Prabhu later found out that because of no association and no regular service, gradually her 16 rounds went down to 12, to 8, to 4, like that. She stopped chanting. And slowly, she lost all the progress she'd made. So you see, association, we must keep the creeper of our devotion healthy. What do we need? We need protection. And that protection comes from association. Just like a creeper in your garden, you protect it with things so that animals don't damage it. Similarly, we need devotee association to protect our creeper of bhakti, and we need to nourish it. Just like a plant needs nourishing from sun and water, we need the nourishment from chanting and service. So very, very important to do this. As a verse in the 3rd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe it says Kapil Muni speaking to his mother. I have used this verse many, many times, and devotees sometimes are purposely repeat these verses so we could get familiar with them. So here it says, Satam prasangan mamaveya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kasam kajoshanad asvapavargavatmani shraddharatir bhakti anukamishyati. In the association of pure devotees, discussion and pastimes of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation. Thereafter, he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed, and then real devotion and devotional service begin. So real devotion begins once we get to that stage. So by association, we can get to that stage. Prabhupada says, part of that purport, Prabhupada says, the process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of the materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees. So very, very important. So here I have a question for all of you. So somebody may say, I know that some of the devotees, even on this call, are living very far away, and they may not have a center or a temple around them. We are very fortunate here. We got the Bhaktivedanta Manor, we got the ISKCON London Temple, so we have abundance of association. So what would one do if they live far away from a temple? How would you get association? Can anybody venture an answer?
Heavy Sangha at home.
On Sangha program.
Yes, Umelaben. Very good. So point is, yes, if you don't have a temple around you, then whatever friends you have in the area, invite them. Very nice answer. Invite them to your home, hold meetings regularly, once a week, once a month, whatever is suitable. Hold meetings, and that meeting is not just a meeting to have, like the ladies sometimes used to have, they have their kitty party and, do some sing song and have a nice time and go away. No, have a reading session, try and read together, try and chant together, try and sing some bhajans together, like that, right? So that way you're automatically getting association. So you're all sitting together and trying to do this. So that's a nice way to associate. And that way you can make devotees. So for persons who may not be so much inclined before, by regularly attending these sessions, they will become devotees. They will start chanting. You can start actually preaching this way. To be a preacher, one doesn't need to sit on an asana and give classes. One just simply needs to associate and give whatever you have. Talk about how I started chanting, how it helps me, like that. And the other way to associate is associate online, like we have right now. Even if you're living far away, you can get online. That now, luckily because of technology, we have so much available online. So join online classes that way. And the third way to associate is to read Prabhupada's books. Because when we are reading Prabhupada's books, we are associating with one of the most advanced devotees of this age. We're actually associating with Srila Prabhupada. So there's many times they say that, oh, I almost say that I was in this country when Prabhupada was around, but unfortunately, I wasn't Krishna conscious and I didn't have any interest. If I wanted to, I could have met Prabhupada because he was here many times and I was in the country too. So I often regret that. But then often people say that, look, Vapu is one thing. You missed the Vapu association of Prabhupada, but his Vani is more important than Vapu. So we have his Vani association in his books. So one must just do that all the time, keep association alive. Then this is the verse that I've just picked up today. I don't know this verse too well. Somebody in the morning class today, Nilamani Mataji actually was talking about it. I thought it was very, it fitted with this verse as well. So this is Prithu Maharaj in the 4th canto, offering prayers to the Lord. So we'll try and recite it. Sa uttama sloka mahan mukta chutto bhavat padambu josudha kanal nila smritim puna vismrita tattva vatmanam kuyoginamna viratya yalam varai. So, my dear Lord, you are glorified by the selected verses, Uttama Shloka, verses uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When a transcendental vibration from the mouths of great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of your pure devotees. So he's asking for association here. I don't want anything else, but I just want your association, he says. I picked up some examples of personalities who perfected their life by association. So I'll bring up some pictures and maybe you can just shout out who that person is. Which personality is this picture depicting?
Narada?
Yes, Narada is in his previous life. Well done. And by associating with those Bhaktivedantas during the Chaturmasa, by serving them, he became the greatest devotee. And he took his next birth as Narada, a spiritual personality. So he's a very good example of how by association you can perfect your life. And this one's very obvious. Anybody?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj, exactly. Parikshit Maharaj, by associating with Shukdev Goswami, heard the Srimad Bhagavatam right at the right time at the end of his life. And he went back to Godhead. And not just that, because of that, we all got this wonderful scripture that we can deeply study.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
Then, who is this personality?
Dhruva.
Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, again, he actually went to meditate. He went to meditate in the forest for a materialistic idea. He wanted a kingdom greater than his great-grandfather. But he had the association of Narad Muni again here. And then Narad Muni, because of association, by the chanting the mantra that he was given, he actually got the direct association of the Supreme Lord and he got he not only got what he wanted, but he also got promotion to the spiritual world at the end of his life. And the last one I thought of, there's many more actually. The last one I thought of is this one. Who was this?
Jharkhand.
Not Jharkhand, Hema Mataji.
Uh,
It could be maybe Jharkhand forest maybe, but this personality is.
Oh, the Mrigari.
Yes, well done. Mrigari, exactly. Mrigari was a hunter, and a very cruel hunter at that. He used to half kill the animals. And then he had, Narad Muni was passing by, gave him association, gave him instructions, and look what happened to him. He's there on the floor. He didn't want to step on ants. There's Narad Muni with, I think, Parvat Muni came back to see his transformation. So just by association with Narada, that cruel hunter became a pure devotee. Of course, the story is quite interesting, but we don't have the time right now to go through the story. So yes, let's see what I have. There's a couple of more slides, but I'm not sure how much time we have. Krishna conscious person, Prabhupada is saying, Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. So a person in Krishna consciousness, he doesn't want anything. He is only satisfied with devotional service. And this is why the Lord is very pleased with him. And this is a verse that Lord Shiva is speaking to Parvati. This is Chitraketu. After Chitraketu was cursed by Parvati, and he's completely unperturbed by the curse. Lord Shiva explains the position. He says, Narayana para sarve na kutaschana vibhadyati swargapavarga narkeshva apitulyartha darshina. He said, devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the devotional service of the Lord. Again, I've used this verse just recently, so just to remind everybody, this important verse is important to remember. I will stop here. Devotees is coming to 8:40, so please let us have your realizations, questions, corrections, please. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I was just listening to Gauranga Prabhu and on association of devotees, and there was something really nice he said. He said, association of devotees creates hopelessness in material existence and hope in Krishna consciousness.
Haribol, fantastic. So nice, actually. That's very nice.
Thank you for a wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, also I missed about us hearing from, like, we can read ourselves, we can listen to classes online, but when we listen to a pure devotee, it is said that the pure devotee, because he's got so much potency, by listening from a pure devotee, the potency that he's got is transferred into our heart, like that, So, and that's why it is stressed. Of course, this is COVID times and everything, and we don't have so much personal association. But this is what that said. It was actually Bhakti Rasamrita Swami who said that there is no substitute to face-to-face classes. We can get the morning class online every day, and that's what we do at the moment. But when we get a chance, we should go face-to-face, because when we're at the temple, sitting in front of that devotee, sitting on the Vyasasana, the purity from his heart is transferred to our heart. So much more beneficial. Surabhi Mataji, 1 second, I've got a question here, Surabhi Mataji. On association, some groups just party, gossip, discriminate, make fun, only in the name of association, no names named. But yes, true. Anyway, these online sessions are safer and informative. Thanks. Yeah. So yes, if people are getting together for devotional activities and they end up gossiping and chanting and having fun, of course, then they're wasting the time. So there's not going to be much progress coming from there. I'm not a devotee, but observed it when I was finding information about Gita. Okay, yes. So yes, of course, there will be, there are groups that are very, very serious, and there are some groups who are not very serious. Either way, they're meeting, and yes, if they're not very serious about their study while they meet, then they will not make that progress very fast. But still, associating with devotees, there will be some, at least some, maybe prasada, at least nothing else they will do, they will have prasada. Even that with some use. So, fair enough. And I've got Chetna Mataji saying, I have a question not directly related to today's class, but I hope to ask. My father took leave a few days ago, along with mixed emotions. I keep thinking about what his final thoughts may have been. Can I let go of this? How can I let go of this? Okay, so Chetna Ben, thank you so much. I heard about this because I know you are related to Ajay Mukund Prabhu and Chandrika Mataji, and I heard about your father. So first of all, please accept my sincere condolences, you and the family. And these are very, very difficult times, and the mind right now will be all over the place. And even if somebody is a staunch devotee, this event in life, when we lose our loved one, can really shake us. So first of all, you got to understand that what you're going through, Chetna Ben, is quite normal. So do not be disturbed by that. To be thinking about what his final thoughts may have been, we can just pray. We can just pray that Krishna, we hope that you gave him his remembrance at the time of death. But in case you didn't, in case Krishna didn't, in case your father didn't think of Krishna at that time, Chetna Ben, we can pray now. Because you see, at the moment, you are distant from your father because his physical presence is no more there. But the soul-to-soul connection is there. The soul may be far, far away, wherever the soul may be. But a sincere prayer, the soul, because the prayers are not mundane sound vibration. The prayers are spiritual sound, transcendental sound vibration. So by prayers, Chetna Ben, you can connect the prayers to the soul. And by praying sincerely to the Lord, that whatever that may be the situation at the time of his departing this body, but right now, please give him your remembrance, give him your shelter. And that doesn't, then it doesn't matter what he was thinking at the end of his life, because our prayers will help him along and make his destination, pure. I hope that helps, Chetna.
Yeah, thank you very much. And also thank you for the prayers that were said for him. I'm very grateful to everyone who did that.
Thank you, Chetna Ben. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Any last thoughts, anybody? Prabhupada speaks in the purport at the end about the person can remain steady. It says by just academic knowledge, one can easily be deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. So see, again, when we get the knowledge and when we realize the knowledge, then there will be, sometimes the Shastras may seem like they're full of contradictions. But once we have realized knowledge, then we'll be able to deal with our contradictions. And there are two contradictions that Prabhupada often brings up in his lectures in Shastra. Can anybody think of some? Two very apparent contradictions. So one of them, for example, is cow dung, right? So it is said in Shastra that the stool of an animal or a stool of even a human being, if by accident we happen to touch a stool of an animal, we should take a bath straight away because it is very impure. Yet the stool of a cow is supposed to be pure. People first of all, people in India, villages, they use it as fuel. That's fair enough, but they even use it to what you call it? They spread the cow dung on the floor to make it pure. They will use cow dung before any yagya to make the area pure, right? So how can one understand it? On one hand, you're saying, oh, stool is impure, but yet cow dung is pure, right? So if we haven't got realized knowledge, if we just got the mundane knowledge, we'll think, oh, here's a contradiction here, right? But with the realized knowledge, we learn to accept that what Shastra is saying, I accept totally, right? And yes, cow dung is pure. And there is no, in our mind, other people may argue till the cows come home, but even in our mind, we are fixed in Shastra, so we say, yes, because Shastra is saying it, I understand it is pure. That's it. That is what gives you a perfect shraddha on what's going on. And the other example, anybody can think of? Yes, exactly, yes. Because bone of an animal, again, if you touch the bone of an animal, you should take a bath straight away, impure. But what is the conch shell? The conch shell is a bone of an animal. And we actually have the conch shell on our altar. And we put the conch shell to our mouth and blow it. But again, so there is a seeming contradiction, but with realized knowledge, we are able to understand these contradictions and reconcile with them. So that is what I wanted to share. Okay. So if there is no more questions, coming up to 10 to 9, so we can call it a day. Devotees, thank you so much for connecting again. Please do look after yourselves. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya
Kripa sindhubhya eva cha
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
namo
Namo
namaha.
Namah. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna Prabhu,
Prabhuji.
Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jolly
Hare
Mata.
Krishna. Haribo.